Heroin abuse is one of the biggest health crises facing us all. But Canada is taking a unique and surprising approach in their fight against this epidemic, prescription heroin. How does this all work? Well, joining us now via Skype is certified addiction specialist Ken Seeley from A&E Network's Intervention. So, Ken, tell us exactly what approach they're thinking of using, and then, of course, curious your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's the harm reduction model, and I know of it really well, but I just don't believe in it. I think that they should be using the intervention model. I mean, that's the model that's been working and helping the family systems come in and really intervening on them and getting them into recovery. Harm reduction doesn't work, in my opinion.
So am I correct in assuming that it's going to start with the Vancouver clinic, that they want to then expand? The addicts come in and they safely inject heroin in a supervised setting so that you don't run the risk of what we know can be a lot of things. People can obviously die after a heroin injection. Using needles that others have used is a risk for infectious diseases. Is that the idea, that people are at least doing it in a safe environment, or is the idea that, hey, we can wean people off of it in a controlled setting?
I think both. I think that's what the model is both. Is let's get them in a controlled environment and give them their drugs, and so they don't overdose. But that's like giving an alcoholic a few drinks a day and say we're going to get them into treatment. Once you feed that part of the brain for an alcoholic, they're off and running. Their brain is hijacked and they can't stop. They start lying, stealing, manipulating to get anything that they can to get more drugs.
Well, but I think it's important to point out here with this Canadian program that it's really for a select subgroup of treatment-resistant addicts. So this isn't just you can sign up and suddenly get prescription-strength heroin. I think, to your point, the idea behind this program is that these addicts who have been treatment-resistant at least are coming into a controlled place. They have a much lower risk of overdose. They have a much lower risk of contaminated needles with hepatitis, with HIV, and they've actually done a study in Canada that showed for these patients it actually is significantly less expensive to treat them this way because you're not treating the costs of overdose and there's much less criminal activity. So when you think about it, when you think about the fact that the #1 cause of accidental death in the United States is overdose from medications, this is actually kind of a really intriguing for this subset of patients and people. I think it's actually viable when you think about it.
Well, and I am not averse to the concept here. I think where I struggle is, at what point do you move away from the treatment protocol to the weaning protocol? Because if you're an addict and they're offering free heroin, I would think that it would be really difficult to take that next step. I think that's my part where I'm struggling.
I mean, addiction medicine, the specialty itself is evolving every day, that it's getting better and better. But Ken, just to make it clear, is it true that methadone treatments, which has been sort of the go-to place, fails in X amount of cases?
Well, it's the same thing. This is exactly the same thing. You know, where is that thing, that line that Travis is talking about? When do you change it from treatment into putting them into these type of programs? Because I have one down the street from our place here, and there's a line every morning, and they're lined up waiting for their fix. And these are not productive people. These are people that, you know, they're not given the life that they deserve if they were able to get into recovery. And the doctors that I know of that put them in there, unfortunately, they're putting them in there way too early, and then they can't get them off that drug.
To your point as to whether they're lining up, I mean, at least they're not out there committing crimes. You know, they're not trying to raise the money to get the heroin because they are addicts. And in a sense, they're not as responsible for their actions because they're so addicted. They may go to other lengths to get what they need and to get their fix.
And it's clear that some people there are just some individuals that no matter how hard you try, it feels impossible. Is that at least fair to say?
There are a few, but it's very small. And the problem is that the people using methadone is a lot larger, and that's my concern. Bring this heroin in, and everybody's going to be on the same thing. They're going to be throwing Suboxone, heroin, methadone, and they're not going to get into recovery, and they're not going to get the chance that they really deserve.
That's a tough one. No easy answers.
Right.
And Ken, we appreciate all the work you do trying to get people healthy and better. Keep up the great work.